Welcome back to Counter-Hegemony. In late October, the director of the New York Office for Human Rights resigned in protest against the UN's response to Israel's ongoing assault on Gaza. His name is Mokhiber. He had worked for the UN since the 1980s. Mokhiber's public resignation letter contains a scathing critique of the UN. Most of the Western mainstream media ignored it. Some of the points raised in the letter are worth a closer look. Mokhiber calls Israel's assault on Gaza a genocide unfolding before our eyes. He writes, "The current wholesale slaughter of the Palestinian people, rooted in an ethno-nationalist settler colonial ideology, in continuation of decades of their systematic persecution and purging, and coupled with explicit statements of intent by leaders in the Israeli government and military, leaves no room for doubt or debate. In Gaza, civilian homes, schools, churches, mosques, and medical institutions are wantonly attacked as thousands of civilians are massacred. In the West Bank, including occupied Jerusalem, homes are seized and reassigned based entirely on race, and violent settler pogroms are accompanied by Israeli military units. Across the land, apartheid rules. This is a textbook case of genocide. The European ethno-nationalist settler colonial project in Palestine has entered its final phase, toward the expedited destruction of the last remnants of indigenous Palestinian life in Palestine. Mokhiber goes on to criticize the complicity of Western imperial powers in Israel's aggression. For more than 100 years, Western powers, first UK, and after World War II the US, have been arming Israel and providing economic and intelligence support for its military campaigns. They have supported Israel's occupation and the crimes it has committed, politically and diplomatically. For the past 7 decades, Israel has played a crucial role in the US imperial reshaping of the Middle East, in the interests and for the benefit of US and Western European capital. Mokhiber's resignation letter includes some key points on how the UN should address Israel's occupation of Palestine. He calls on the UN to stop the pretense that this is simply a conflict over land or religion between two warring parties, and admit the reality of the situation in which a disproportionately powerful state is colonizing, persecuting, and dispossessing an indigenous population on the basis of their ethnicity. So what does Mokhiber mean by that? They are not two equal parties fighting each other. There's an occupier and an occupied people. There's a settler colonizer and a colonized population. For the past 75 years, Israel has violently pursued the implementation of what Edward Said called a project of accumulation of land and power and displacement of people, their identity, and their history. Israel is one of the most powerful militaries in the world and is fighting a besieged and dispossessed people. Mokhiber also calls on the UN to abandon the failed and illusory two-state solution. After 75 years of Israeli settler colonial expansion and occupation, there's little left of a Palestinian state that would be sustainable, just, or possible in any way. Mokhiber calls for the establishment of a single democratic, secular state in all of historic Palestine, with equal rights for Christians, Muslims, and Jews, and therefore dismantling of the deeply racist settler colonial project and an end to apartheid across the land. The last point I want to address is the issue of Palestinian refugees and their right to return to their homes. Mokhiber believes that the UN must reaffirm and insist on the right to return and full compensation for all Palestinians and their families currently living in the occupied territories, in Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, and in the diaspora across the globe. Nearly 6 million Palestinians and their descendants live in the Middle East today, having been expelled from their territories. Even in their homeland of Palestine, in the occupied West Bank and in Gaza, Palestinians live crowded together in camps. According to Israel, they have no right to return to their homes. But under international law, Palestinian refugees have a legitimate right to return. Israel, on the other hand, gives Jews around the world the right to claim Israeli citizenship. Mokhiber's resignation is part of a bigger trend. More and more people around the world are taking a stand and speaking out against Israel's settled colonial occupation of Palestine. It is becoming increasingly difficult for Israel and its allies to control the narrative and sway public opinion in their favor. This is why coercion and repression are on the rise. Several European countries have already begun restricting pro-Palestinian rallies and criminalizing or banning common Palestinian symbols. So much for today. I will be back with more in the coming days. Thanks for tuning in and supporting the channel. If you liked the video, please share it with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.